You might think she's forgotten you, that her silence means you've been erased from her world. But let me tell you something that most men never realize. She is thinking about you right now. Her phone might be sitting in her hand, the screen blank, but her mind? It's replaying that last message you sent, that last moment you had, that time you made her laugh, and that pause when you stopped texting. She scrolls through your stories, quietly, secretly. She watches your posts, sees your updates, and though she doesn't interact, she's watching more closely than you think. And not because she doesn't care, but because she does. See, her silence isn't rejection. It's protection, that it's a defense mechanism, one built by years of social conditioning that taught her, never be the first to reach out. Never let him know you care more. Never look vulnerable. So instead of texting you, "I miss you," she says nothing. Instead of reacting to your story, she sits back and waits. Not because she's moved on, but because her pride, her ego, her fear of appearing weak, they're all louder than her longing. And you, yes you, are left wondering, did I do something wrong? Did you stop caring? But let me ask you something. What if silence doesn't mean she's over you, but that she's overwhelmed by you? What if every day that goes by in silence is not a step away, but a test, an emotional war raging between her heart and her pride? This is what most men don't see. They chase the woman who's gone quiet, thinking it's love. But in truth, they're playing into a deeper psychological pattern that was never about them in the first place. And so, if you're watching this and you're feeling that emptiness, wondering why she disappeared, why she went cold, I want you to hold on, because what you're interpreting as disinterest might just be the loudest silence you've ever heard. And in that silence, there's a truth few are brave enough to face. Sometimes, the one who pulls away is the one who's hurting the most. Let's talk about what's really going on when she goes silent, but still shows up in little ways. The truth is, you're not out of her mind. You're right there, front and center. But her pride, her ego, they're louder than her heart right now. You see, women, especially in today's world, have been conditioned to see vulnerability as weakness. Society has told her, don't text him first. Don't show you care. Don't give him the power. And even when her heart wants to break that silence, something inside her whispers, no, not yet, not you. So while you're sitting there wondering, why hasn't she reached out? She's sitting in her room, phone in hand, your name lit up, thumb hovering over your chat, and then she deletes the message before hitting send. It's not that she doesn't feel. She feels everything, but she's afraid that if she shows it, she'll lose control. And in that fear, a war is waged. Emotion versus ego, longing versus pride, and no one wins. But here's where it gets more layered, because her silence isn't just stillness. It's strategy. Every quote she posts about independence, every perfect selfie, every night out story, it's not just for her friends. It's for you. It's her way of saying, I'm doing fine without you, even when her heart's screaming the opposite. This is not random. It's calculated. She wants a reaction, a chase. She wants to know you're still watching, still caring, still affected. Because in her mind, if you respond, it means she still matters. And if you don't, she starts to question if you ever really did. But here's what most men miss. Reacting to that bait, chasing after that illusion of confidence. It doesn't pull you closer, it pushes you further away. Not because she's cold, but because now you've stepped into her emotional arena on her terms. So what do? You observe, you hold your ground. You recognize that her behavior isn't always about how she feels about you, but about how she's trying to protect herself from how deeply she feels. And the man who understands this, the man who doesn't panic, doesn't chase, doesn't try to decode every move, he's the one who flips the game. Because in this emotional tug of war, the one who stays calm ends up winning far more than her attention. He wins her respect. Let's be honest. Most of us were taught that if you love someone, you chase them. You show up. You prove it. We were told that effort is romantic. That persistence equals love. But here's the truth that no one told you. Chasing a woman who is pulling away doesn't make her love you more. It makes her respect you less. That it's not because she's cruel. It's not because she doesn't want love. It's because in her subconscious, she's scanning for stability. And chasing, especially when she's distant, doesn't feel like love. It feels like desperation, and desperation never attracts. It repels. See, as men, we've been conditioned to react emotionally when someone pulls away. To double down, send longer texts, over-explain, buy flowers, apologize for things we didn't even do. And yet, the more we do, the colder she becomes. Why? Because in her mind, you've shown that your self-worth is tied to her approval, that your peace depends on her attention. And the moment you do that, you hand over the frame. You give her the power. But here's where everything changes. The man who holds his composure wins. The man who stands still while chaos stirs around him. That man is dangerous. He's rare, because while everyone else is reacting, he's observing. While others chase, he chooses stillness. While others beg for love, he respects himself enough to wait for earned affection. And that stillness, that calm confidence, it's not weakness, it's power. It's what turns the tables. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop chasing someone who's emotionally pulling away, you force them to deal with their own chaos. You let her battle her ego without feeding it. And in that silence, something powerful happens. You become unforgettable, not because you said the right thing, not because you sent flowers, but because you didn't lose yourself to ask yourself, when someone goes silent on you, do you collapse? Or do you hold your ground? Because the man who can stay calm in the storm doesn't just keep his dignity, he earns respect. And that, my friend, is the kind of energy that doesn't beg to be loved, it commands it. Let me break something down that most men never get taught, especially when it comes to understanding why a woman pulls away. See, when she goes silent, it's easy to assume she doesn't care, that she's moved on, that maybe she's talking to someone else. But more often than not, it's not indifference, it's fear. Yeah, fear. Fear of opening up. Fear of giving too much. Fear of becoming emotionally exposed in a world that constantly tells her to stay guarded. Because somewhere along the way, she was told that if she reaches out first, if she says, "I miss you," or even admits she's thinking about you, she loses. She looks weak. And so, the more she cares, the more she hides it. Her ego becomes her shield. Her pride becomes her strategy. She convinces herself, if he really cared, he'd message me. But here's the twist. She's dying for you to reach out. It's a paradox, right? She wants closeness, but she's terrified of being the first to bridge the gap. So what does she do? She tests you. Quietly, passively, but deliberately. Every day you don't text, don't call, don't check in, she feels it. She notices. And yes, she questions it. But instead of admitting it, she buries that feeling under a mask of "I'm fine." And that's the part most men miss. You see the silence, but not the storm underneath. You feel rejected, but don't realize you're being tested. And let me be clear, this isn't a test of your love. It's a test of your strength. She wants to know, can this man stand tall when I step back? Will he lose himself? Or will he hold his frame? Because for her, showing love feels like losing power. And power, to her, feels like safety.so. If you're in that place where her silence is driving you crazy, pause. Don't chase. Don't panic. Understand that her silence isn't absence. It's emotion twisted into armor. And the man who can see past the silence, who understands that stillness is not passivity, but power, he's the man she'll eventually feel safe enough to open up to. Here's one of the most powerful truths about modern relationships, and most men don't even realize they're falling into it. It's called the trap of validation. When a woman pulls away, goes quiet, stops replying, gives you cold energy, it triggers something inside of you. You want to fix it. You want to ask, did I do something wrong? You want to send that text. "Hey, are you okay?" And on the surface, that seems kind, compassionate, romantic even, but beneath it, it's emotional reactivity. And in that reaction, you unknowingly give her ego exactly what it wants: validation. You just confirm her silence works, that she can pull away and you'll run toward her, that she can withhold and you'll give more. And that shifts the entire power dynamic. Now, you're playing on her terms. But what happens when you don't react? When you remain calm, grounded, composed, not cold, but centered, her ego, it doesn't know what to do. It starts to starve. And when her ego isn't being fed with attention or control, something else starts to rise: her emotion. The part of her that actually cares. The part that misses you. That part starts to whisper, "Wait, did I go too far? Did I just lose him?" That's when things start to change. Suddenly, you get that random text out of nowhere: "Hey, how have you been?" It seems casual, but it's not. It's a white flag. It's a signal from deep within. A message that says her inner war is collapsing. Her ego, once so sure and strong, is now uncertain. And your silence? Your discipline? It's what brought her to this point. Not manipulation, not games, but emotional self-control that next time you feel that urge to explain yourself, to check in, to make sure she's okay, ask yourself, am I doing this for connection or for validation? Because a man who needs to be validated loses his power. But a man who stands firm in stillness, he doesn't just earn respect, he becomes unforgettable. Let's talk about something that doesn't get said enough in today's dating world. Women don't fall for the man who chases. They fall for the man who knows his value so deeply. He doesn't need to. Here's the truth. Women respect men they can emotionally control. That doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It means you're rooted, unshakable. You don't bend every time she pulls away. You don't beg. You don't explain your worth. You simply are. Because silence, when it comes from a man who is grounded, isn't emptiness. It's power. It echoes louder than words. And the less you chase, the more she feels your presence. Think about it. When you're always available, always giving, always proving, something shifts. Not just in her view of you, but in how you show up. That constant effort, when it's not reciprocated, doesn't make you look romantic. It makes you look unstable. And when a woman senses that you need her attention more than you need your own dignity, attraction fades. Not because she's cruel, but because that imbalance signals weakness. That it's like this. When a man makes a woman the center of his emotional universe, when her response defines his peace, his confidence, his sense of self, he loses something sacred: his frame. Masculine stoicism isn't about shutting off your emotions. It's about controlling them. It's about having the strength to sit in discomfort without letting it define you. It's about knowing, I'm still me, even if she pulls away. I'm still whole. And that kind of man, the one who doesn't flinch when she tests him, he's unforgettable. So ask yourself, are you leading your life? Or are you handing it over to someone else's reactions? Because when you stop proving and start embodying your worth, you don't just gain respect, you command it. Let's get real about the modern dating game. It's not what you were raised to believe. From a young age, you were told to chase. That a real man proves his love with action. That if you show enough effort, if you're consistent, thoughtful, expressive, eventually she'll see your worth. But here's the hard truth. In today's world, that approach doesn't work the way it used to. And it's not because love has changed, but because the rules of dating have been rewritten by culture, by media, by a society that's been feeding us a false script. See, women are often taught, directly or indirectly, that silence is power. That the less you show, the more control you have. That the first one to speak, to text, to care, loses. And the media? It reinforces that story. Every movie, every love song, every meme preaches the same formula. If he wants you, he'll chase. If he stops chasing, he never cared. Meanwhile, Men are out here exhausting themselves, trying to live up to an outdated blueprint, chasing someone who's barely looking back, thinking that more flowers, more texts, more effort will win her heart. But here's the truth. Real love doesn't need to be chased. It needs to be matched. You can't build a connection by running laps around someone who's standing still. The woman who's truly right for you won't make you prove your worth through emotional gymnastics. She'll meet you halfway. She'll recognize effort and return it, not manipulate it for power. If you've been feeling like dating today feels like a battlefield, you're not crazy. It is. But that's why you have to stop playing by the rules you were taught and start writing your own. Because the man who knows his value, he doesn't chase people who hide behind silence. He aligns with those who are emotionally available and ready to build something real. Let me leave you with something that might just shift how you see the entire game. The way you respond to silence defines your worth far more than the words you say. Most men, when faced with silence, panic. They break the tension with a message they didn't really want to send. They check in. They chase. Not because they're weak men, but because they've been taught that doing something is better than doing nothing. But here's the truth. Breaking silence just to soothe your ego doesn't make you courageous. It reveals emotional dependence, and women can sense it. They feel when your message isn't strength. It's insecurity dressed up as love. And instead of pulling her closer, it pushes her further away. But when you hold the line, when you stay composed in the tension, something different happens. You begin to radiate something very few men carry today: emotional discipline. You don't chase. You don't explain yourself unnecessarily. You simply hold your ground, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. And here's what's incredible. It's in that stillness that everything shifts, because she won't come back because you begged. She won't come back because you chased. She'll come back when she realizes you never lost yourself trying to get her back. That's what breaks the cycle. That's what disrupts the game. Not manipulation, not revenge, just calm, steady self-respect. If you're in that place right now, feeling the silence, tempted to reach out just to feel something, ask yourself this. Is this about love, or is it about needing to be needed? Because the man who can sit in uncertainty, who can stay composed when it's easier to fall apart, that man is remembered. That man becomes the one she reconsiders. Not because he played a game, but because he finally stopped playing one. If this message has resonated with you, if even one part of this hit home, then let me leave you with something even more important. This isn't just about a woman. This is about you. This video, it's not a tactic. It's not a game. It's a wake-up call. A call for every man out there who's been taught that love means chasing, that strength means proving, and that your value is only confirmed when someone else validates it. But here's the truth. You were never meant to chase. You were born to lead, to live with intention, to move through this world with quiet power and deep purpose. Because when you stop begging for love and start embodying self-respect, everything changes. Your relationships change. Your confidence grows. Your presence becomes undeniable. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you've finally remembered who you are. And if you've been through heartbreak, ghosting, mixed signals, or silent tests, you're not alone. You're one of millions of men quietly carrying emotional weight they've been told to hide. But not anymore. That we rise by reclaiming our strength, not just physically, but emotionally. We rise by standing still when the world tells us to chase. We rise by building a brotherhood. Men who lead, not react. Men who don't beg to be seen, but live in a way that can't be ignored. If you're ready to be the kind of man, untouchable in love, in life and mind, then share this. Not just for you, but for your brother, your friend, your younger self who needed this truth years ago. Subscribe, stay connected, and join the movement of men who no longer break themselves to be chosen. Because the man who knows his value never has to prove it.